Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to show you some utilities, tools and resources that you can use to test, monitor and manage vulnerabilities and threats. I'm going to perform reconnaissance to gather some information about a domain by using Whois and Nmap utility. I'm going to set up Greenbone vulnerability management and scan for vulnerabilities. And I'm going to use a threat intelligence feed called VirusTotal to check the legitimacy and safety of a website. I'm going to use a Kali Linux virtual machine to perform most of these tasks. First, I will open a web browser and then find out the domain name of an organization, for example, University of Toronto. So the domain name is utoronto.ca. Next, I'm gonna go to a different website and the site name is whois.domaintools.com. There is a search box in this website. So I type in utoronto.ca in the search box and then press on search. By using this publicly available website, I can get some information about utoronto.ca. For example, I can see that the domain was registered in 2001 and then it was updated in 2022 and the current registration will expire in 2031. There is a name server or DNS server address, the tech contact person information and so on. There is more detail in the later part of the page where it says Whois record and you get a detailed information about the domain. If you are using a Windows machine, then you can download Whois utility. I can simply Google download Whois utility. And then from Microsoft site, I select the learn.microsoft.com link and then click on download Whois. I'm going to download on my local drive. I previously downloaded it, so I will save it and overwrite. Next, I go to that drive and I delete the previously extracted file. This is the zip file that I just downloaded. So I will extract it by using any unzip software. If I go into the Whois folder, I will see some executable files. To run this utility, I need to go to this location in the command prompt. So I open command prompt and then go to my location where I downloaded the utility. In my case, it's E drive, and then under Whois folder. Now I can run Whois and then the domain name. If you're running this for the first time, you might get a prompt to agree with the license term. And I got a lot of information about the domain utoronto.ca. For example, the domain was created in 2000 and it was updated in 2022 and it will expire in 2031. There is other information such as the contact person, location, and so on. So I can use whois.domaintools.com website to get information about a domain, or I can use a Whois utility to get information about a domain. Next, I'm going to use Nmap utility to scan ports of a machine. For that, I will use a pre-built virtual machine that is available to download freely. So I will go to browser, and then I will search for Metasploitable 2 and download. I will go to the link from sourceforce.net, and then it shows that the Metasploitable 2 is a Linux virtual machine. It is intentionally made vulnerable. So I download this. This would be my target machine. I will download here. I previously downloaded this file, so I'm going to skip download, and then I'm going to extract this folder. In your case, you will simply say save and wait for the download to complete. After download is complete, I will go to that folder where I downloaded, and then this is the file that I downloaded. I will extract this. It is giving me a folder, Metasploitable 2-Linux, and this folder contains the virtual machine that I'm going to use as a target. Okay, so I go to VMware Workstation first, and then open the virtual machine. So I go to the folder where I extracted the virtual machine and go into that folder and select Metasploitable virtual machine name and open the virtual machine in VMware Workstation. Now I will power it on. I will select, I copied it. This virtual machine doesn't have any graphical user interface, so I'm going to use the commands. The login for this virtual machine is msfadmin, and password is the same. I logged in, and I'm going to use the Nmap utility to scan this target machine from a Kali Linux virtual machine. I close this browser and then open terminal in my Kali Linux machine. Before I can use this Nmap, I need to know the IP address of the target virtual machine. So I go back to Metasploitable machine and then use ifconfig command. I can see there is one network card, Ethernet 0, and it has an IP address 192.168.101.221. This IP is set by VMware Workstation. In your case, you might have a different IP. So I will use this IP with nmap command. So go back to Kali Linux machine in the terminal, and then use sudo nmap, and then the IP address of the target machine or Metasploitable machine. The IP was 192.168.101.221. So I press enter. I provide password and it gave me the scan result. I can see that a number of ports are open. For example, port number 21 is open, which is used for FTP connection. Port number 80 is open, which is used for HTTP connection. If you are running a web server in this machine, then you need to keep your port number open. If you're not running a web server, then you don't need to keep these ports open. By using this Nmap utility, I could find the open ports and gather information about the target machine. I can use Nmap utility with other parameters. For example, I can scan for a specific port by using nmap -p and then the port number, and then the IP address of the target machine. This gives the information about this specific port. Port number 80 is open, and port number 80 is used for HTTP type of service. I can use other parameters such as sudo nmap, and then, for example, if I use -a, that will give me the operating system information of the target machine. And I can use different T level, which implies the aggressiveness of the scan. There are 6 T levels, T level 0 to 5, and T level 3 is the default. I will use T4, which is a little bit aggressive, and then the target IP address 192.168.101.202, and press enter. Sorry, the IP address was incorrect. That was supposed to be 221.21, and press enter. It's going to take a minute to get the scan result. I got the scan result. As before, I got the port status of different ports. For example, it says port number 21, it is open, and port number 21 accepts anonymous FTP login. If I pass the ports and scroll down, then I can see the operating system is Linux 2.6.9, and there is other information. Okay, so I could use Nmap utility to scan different ports of a specific target machine. Alright, now I'm gonna close the Metasploitable 2 virtual machine. So I will simply shut down. Sudo shutdown now. In this part of the video, I'm going to set up Greenbone vulnerability management on my Kali Linux machine. I open the terminal on my Kali Linux, and then I will install GVM by using the apt install command, or sudo apt install, and GVM is for Greenbone vulnerability management, and then press enter. Provide password and press Y for the prompt and enter. Next, I'm gonna run GVM setup, or sudo GVM setup, and enter. GVM setup is complete. It took quite some time to finish this setup. At the end of the setup, it is very important that you note the username and password for GVM login. Here on screen, it shows the username is admin and the password is this one. For your case, you will have a different password. Make sure you note this password so that you can log in GVM. Next, I'm gonna update the feed for GVM, and for that I will use sudo GVM -feed -update. The update was complete. Now I can start using GVM for vulnerability scan. Before I proceed, I am gonna take a snapshot of the current machine where GVM has just been installed. So to do that, I will go to VM and then snapshot and take snapshot. I'll give a name to this snapshot. Keeping snapshots gives you the opportunity to go back to a previous state of the VM. I'm gonna name is GVM installed. Next, I will start GVM by using GVM start command. So I'll type sudo GVM -start. GVM itself installed a web server, and that is going to run in local machine. That means on 127.0.0.1 IP address, and the port number is 9392. Now the browser is saying this might not be a secure site, and that's fine. I will proceed by clicking on advanced and then scroll down and click on accept the risk and continue. Now I need to log in. The username is admin and the password was given at the end of the setup. And then I'll click on sign in. I will save this password so that I don't need to type the big password again and again. First, I will set up the target. So I go to configuration and then select target. I will add a new target. So I click on new icon and then type in the target name as Metasploitable 2, means the Linux VM that I downloaded earlier. And for the host part, I will use the Metasploitable machine's IP address, which was 192.168.101.221. So I click on save. Now I need to power on the Metasploitable virtual machine. So I will power on that machine. I go back to Kali Linux. And then under scans, I will create new task. So I go to tasks and then click on new task. And I will name this task as, I will name this new task as Metasploitable and CVE scan. And then for the target, I will select Metasploitable 2 that I created earlier and then click on save. Failed to find the config, so there is some error in the configuration. Let me check if I can find the error. Under configuration, I will look for scan configs and there is no scan config. I will update the feed once again. So I go to terminal and then sudo gvm -feed update and enter. the default update configurations are absent. I will close the browser and then open again. Now I will type in the localhost IP address 127.0.0.1, port number 9392, and then scan config is absent. Okay, after waiting some time, it did refresh the screen and the scan config did come back. So just took time to get the feed updated. Now the scan configs are available. Now I can create the new scan task. Go to the scans and then select tasks and then select new task. And then I will give a name to this task. And for the target scan, I'll select Metasploitable 2 and then save. Okay, this time it was successful. So if you find that the new scan is not creating, then check the scan configuration. There are 6 default scan configurations. If they're absent, you can update the feed and wait few minutes to get the scan config. Now I go back to the task. And then I will run this task by clicking on the play button. The scan has been queued. When the scan is complete, it will show done status. I will wait for this scan to complete and come back when done. The scan is finished. Now there is a report that is available under the reports column. So I'll click on the report. Now I will click on the timestamp of this report to see the detail. The scan took about 27 minutes for my case. These are the results. It listed different vulnerabilities and grouped also based on their severity. You can scroll down and go through this list. There are different applications that have vulnerability from high to low severity. The ports tab shows different ports that might be vulnerable. Application shows different applications that are vulnerable. Since I'm using one machine, showing the operating system of that machine, I can go to the dashboard to see the summary of the scan. Assigned one task which has been completed. High severity vulnerability was found, and there are different classes of vulnerabilities found in the scan. I can close GVM, and also I can shut down the Metasploitable machine. Next, I'm going to use a threat intelligence feed to determine the legitimacy and safety of a URL. The name of the threat intelligence feed is VirusTotal. So in the browser, I will go to VirusTotal website. And then I will go to the URL and type in the website address. I want to find whether the site is vulnerable or not. First, I will check Google. out of different security vendors. CMC Threat Intelligence detected Google as malicious. I can see the details of the report. Next, I will check another site. So I go back to the URL and then type in another site address. baileythekingknee.com, and then check the vulnerabilities. There is no flag for this site from any of the vendors. I'll go back again and then I will check utoronto.ca, and no security vendor flagged this site as malicious. Also, I can check the community tab and I can look for any comment from the community. And that is the end of this video. I hope you found this video helpful. If you would like to receive notifications on future videos, please make sure you subscribe to my channel and set up notifications by tapping on the bell. Thank you for watching.